computer. Okay. Share screen. Share screen. Share screen. Okay, share screen. And then I need to do annotation. Oh, before I do annotation, I need to do, hold on, okay, I need to do the view, slide view. That's easy. Okay, and then let's do annotation, yeah. Okay, so let us start. So what today we will start is about the Python programming's block. Okay, so in other programming language like Java or C++, the programming block, code block, we call code block, is identified using curly brackets. Okay, but in Python it's different. So Python doesn't use curly brackets, use indentation and colon. Okay, so for other programming language, normally like suppose a for loop, is it? So you have for loop, and so you have curly brackets. Okay, and you have if, then you have curly brackets, and within curly brackets, your code doesn't need to be indented like integer I equals 0, is it? Like integer I equals 0. Doesn't need to indent, but normally we do indentation, but that's purely for readability, is it? But in Python, then it's different, okay? So it's code block only identified by colon. So it has some for loop is then colon, and then you don't have brackets, so you use indentation. And normally indentation is 4 spaces or tabs. Okay, we will see our code. Okay, and normally the code block in loop condition. Okay, so this is called condition. This is loop. Okay, and we will also see function, classes, and other constructs. So that's for Python code block. So today I found this annotations better than last week's because that is too small. It's not easy for me to see. Okay, and then we just mentioned like a code block. Is it one code block is used for control structure? So in Python, in programming language, generally speaking, control structure, there are 2 kinds of control structure. Normally, we learn like the decision-making conditional control structure. So this is conditional control structure. Okay, decision-making. So for decision-making. And the second, so this is one type. The second type is loop. So loop is for iterations. Okay, and generally speaking, there are 2 kinds of loop, for loop and while loop. For loop is definite loop. Okay, definite iteration. So you know the number of times it's going to iterate. The other is called while loop. So while loop is the iteration based on condition. Okay. And in Python, it's a little bit different from other programming language, like in Java or C++, is it? If you do for loop, you can do this kind of for loop for integer I, *0, then I less than 10, I plus plus. Then we can do something like this. Okay, suppose you do X plus plus, something like this. And so this is this kind of for loop, generally we start. And even for this kind of for, you can do forever loop, is it? So then that's considered as a forever loop. Is it? So in Python, we don't have such loop. So no such kind of loop. So for Python, the for loop basically is kind of similar as Java's for each loop. So it's for some variable in a sequence. So it must be, you must loop through some iterable thing. Okay. So some collection of items. Then you loop through one by one. So normally that's why here it's must definite loop, is it? And so in other, you can also this can also like indefinite loop, is it? Yeah. So this is a little bit different, okay, from other programming language. And then let's see. I need to erase because this is not just on this slide. So it's on screen. Otherwise, if I move to next slides, those drawing are still here. Okay. Yeah, and the first we just discussed is about decision making, is it? Decision making. So this we use control. If we use if statement, so it's a conditional execution. Okay, so if meet a certain condition, it will allow code to run based on a specified condition, if it's true or not. Okay, and regarding this, there are different categories. So here we give like a two-way condition. So two-way condition is if you have if and else. And if you take a look at it's colon, and the indentation, okay? And it also supports multi-way condition. So multi-way is you have if, else if, and else. Okay, later on we will see our example for better understanding. And of course, you can also have nested if. So based on the outer like condition is within it, you have some further condition. So this is nested condition. So that's just a general syntax here we listed. Yeah, let's next take a look at this example. Okay. So in this example, so the first, this is an assignment. You assign 1,000 to variable investment. Assignment statement, you assign the 1155 to current price. Then you assign 1 and 100 to purchase price. So all these three are assignment statements. Okay, then for this block, so if you take a look, we have if else. So keep that in mind. You have colon, okay, not brackets. And over here, if you take a close look, be careful, okay, this is not one, this is two equal sign, okay. So this is to check, so to check if the purchase price is equal 0. If you just have one, that's assignment. So that's called assignment. So be careful about this, the difference, okay. If you have two, that's condition. And this is for equal condition check. Okay, if you check if it is 0, if it is 0, okay, here you assign the null to ROI, so return of investment, okay. So ROI anyway is a variable, so you assign it. And otherwise, if it is not equal, okay, what you do, you will calculate that ROI. So over here, this is an arithmetic expression. So this arithmetic expression, so you do, so this is the difference, is it? And then you do division and then you multiplication, okay? So that's the two-way conditional check, okay? And here, be careful is about this ROI. So this is a variable, but here it's a little bit different. In some other programming language, like in Java or C#, if you do like if x equal 0, and then you do integer I equals 10, then you do else if you want to do I equal -10. Sorry. This will be problem, so that's wrong. Okay, because this is considered local variable and its scope. The scope is only within this curly brackets. Okay, so outside you cannot access. If you do want to access, you need to enter I, declare it outside, and then I equals 10. Okay, you need to do something like this. But that if you take a close look for Python, that's not the case. So Python, you see, this is the first time you define this variable, is it? And then later on in another block, you can access it. So Python, the variable's scope is not as strict as like in Java or C++. Okay, so you see, later on you can continue access it. Okay, so what over here, the next block is multi-way condition check. So you have if, okay, this is pretty strict, just print a statement. And just be careful here. We have the placeholder for formatted output. So we already learned, okay. And here you have else if, the second. So if this condition meet, it will go to here. If this so if it is not greater than 10, then it will, so it's less than 10. If it's less than, it will check if it is greater than 0, okay. If it is greater than 0, it will go to this statement. If it is not, then if you check if it is 0, if it is 0, it will go to, if it's none of this, then it will go to the else. So it's multi-way, okay. Okay, then the next one is to discuss loop. Okay, so loop we just discussed. There are for loop and while loop. So in Python, the for loop is definite loop. It must loop over a sequence, so over a list or tuple or string or some range. And later on, we will also say you can loop also over iterator. Okay. And so the syntax generally is, so it's for, that's keyword, in is keyword, and this element that's called a loop variable. Okay, and this is some sequence, and then some block of code you want to execute, okay. And for the while loop, it's while, that's keyword, and here is the condition, okay? So condition, it can be used using equal, is it greater than or less than or greater equal or less equal, something like this. And you can also use like and or, is it to build the more complicated condition, okay? And then the loop body. So that's a general syntax. Oh, and by the way, I think that should be, yeah, should be the case. Mm. This is okay. Yeah, that's the next example. I need to use pen. Yeah, so then let's take a look at this for statement example first. Okay, so this first statement is an import statement. So what this import statement is import this class, okay? And you can import class, import package, import module, okay? So that's in Python. So in other program, you can also do include it. In Java, it's also import, okay? And so the next to this part, what it does, and basically I think we already learned is this, so this is a dictionary. So these three are keys. And after colon, so these parts are values. And remember, for dictionary, when you access, you cannot use index. You access dictionary using key to access. Okay, so remember that's different. So here, so that's what we do random because we want to generate some random number. Okay, generate some random number, then add some number, and then you do multiply some number and you take 2 decimal point. So this round is a function, okay? So round function will round to 2 decimal point. So anyway, so this is just try to get some price, okay? So random generated, not a real one, okay? So stock data anyway, so it's dictionary, is it? So then here we have that for loop. So we have 4 keyword, in is keyword, and this is sequence, is it? So this item, basically dictionary data item, what it return is something iterator. Okay, it's not list, not a tuple, not a dictionary, not a set. Okay, it's something you can iterate one by one. We call it iterator. Okay. So this kind of concept, if you remember in Java, you have the interface. So Java's interface, iterable, if you still remember, iterable and iterator. Iterator. The interface is if a class implement iterable, only the class implement iterable, it can do the for each loop. Otherwise, it doesn't support, is it? So that's what. So here the concept is a little bit similar. And for the class to implement that iterable and also iterator, is it what is support? It supports call the next. So you can loop, you can keep access the next item using that. You cannot, um, uh, so you access through next. Okay, so that's what the iterator does. Of course, you can also do access previous, but that's not this iterable and iterator. Okay, there are some other interface you need to implement. Okay, so anyway, so in this case, it's iterator, and the iterator has 2 values, is it the key and the price. So that's why here in this for loop, the loop variable, you have 2, the symbol and the price. That's due to the items, is it? And then here we have the regular print, the formatted output, so placeholder. Okay. Uh, for loop we discussed. So the next loop is while statement. Okay, so let's take, so we quite familiar. So assignment statement, assignment statement, assignment statement. Okay, and next here we have the while. So this is a keyword while. So here is the condition. So here is a colon. So for the condition, so this condition is here, the left is a variable, the right side is a variable, and this is not equal. Okay, so you use not equal to build the condition, okay? And then after that, so what does this part mean? Is it, so this float and then input and then this is a kind of like C-in, like in C++, you do C-in, okay. So you get some input, from keyboard. But here is a little bit different from Java and C++, okay? So the Python input statement, the input function, so this basically is called a function. What it returns, whatever you typed in on keyboard, it's a string. It returns a string. So that's why here you do float. And within it is some string value. So what this, we call it cast. So you cast, basically what you type may be 10, is it? But that 10 is a string. But because here we use a number, so you don't want to have, you don't want it to have quotation mark, is it? So if you want to get rid of the quotation mark, then you need to cast it. So you call float. Double quotation. Then you will get the number 10 without the quotation mark, okay? So that's what this part does. And after you can cast it, then you can find the difference, is it? So that's subtraction. And ABS is absolute value, okay? You get absolute value of the difference. And here you build a condition again, is it? So this is if statement, this is a condition. So if it is less or equal than 10. And here you have another condition, the guess time, if it's less than 3. So you have two conditions, and you want to check if it meets both of them. So that's why you use the and, okay? So if you want any one of them, you use or, is that, yeah. So here you want to check if this condition meet. Okay, if meet, then you go to this print statement, and this here, this break statement. So this break will so basically it will jump out of the loop, the while loop. So it will not continue. Okay, so it will not do guess time plus 1. It will not do it anymore. So it will jump out of the loop. Okay. So basically what it does is, so this is a while loop, so it will jump out here. Okay, jump out here. Okay. And if it's this condition doesn't meet, it will go to the else if to check. So go to else, okay, same thing, find the difference and absolute value and the guess time less than 3. Is it? In this case, it will do, so it doesn't have break. So this will go back to the loop beginning again. Okay, go inside the loop again. But if you have break, it will jump out. Okay. Otherwise, if it's not the above two, it will, all of the other, it will go to this else. Go to this else, print, and it's also jump out of the loop. Okay. So it will not execute the guess time plus 1. Okay. And also be careful, in Python, we don't have that plus plus. There is no such plus. And so if you do that plus 1. Okay, like this. Okay, and let's see. Okay, next is also important concept. It's in programming language function. Function is quite useful, is it? So the purpose for function is to provide code reusability. Okay, so it's a reusable block of code. Because sometimes some task you may use it multiple times, is it? Suppose, okay, calculate some conversion, is it meter to feet conversion, something like that. It's reusable. You may not just use it in your program one time. You're going to use it multiple times. In that case, you don't want to repeat your code. So then you can put that block of code into a defined something, and we call it a function. Okay. So in Python, the function definition must have started with def, this keyword. Okay. Followed by that is function name and then parameter. And be careful, okay, this is also different from other programming languages. Before the function name, there is no return type needed. And the parameter, no data type for parameter. Okay. So no data type. And here, no return type. So not needed. Same thing for all block, you use a colon. And then here you start a function body with indentation. Here I got it wrong. Okay? Needed to indent. The return statement also needed to be to indent it. Okay, it's and so that's the general syntax for function. Okay, next, let's take a look here, this function, okay, definition. So we already learned the import statement. So this time it import like a Yahoo Finance. Okay, so this is import Yahoo Finance to try to get some stock related data. So import this Yahoo Finance, it's a class, okay. And then next, this part is we define the function. So this function's keyword, function name is called get stock data. And this is called function parameter. So this is has some similarity like math. You have functions like f(x,y) is equals x squared plus like y squared. It's has some similarity, is it? So, but over there we call a variable, is it? But here we call it a parameter, okay, after function name, okay. So whatever you plug in, okay. It can have one or two or three, yeah, multiple, okay. And also within here, we have this try except block. And later on, we are going to learn that except block. And what here it does is, because here it involves a real-time download from Yahoo Finance, okay, you want to download some stock tickers data, okay? So over here, this symbol may be Apple, maybe Tesla, okay, NVIDIA, something like that. And this period you can spend, this is not working anymore. I needed to change it to 5D. So it supports 1 day, 5 day, 10 day, 1 month, something like that. Okay, they just updated. And this interval is 1 day, okay, every day. So 5 day you want to get the data. And what it returns is because it's 5 day data, so it's has quite information. Later on, we are going to learn. So basically, some kind of like data frame. Okay, in that's what it is going to return. Okay, so but because over here you are going to do download, is it? So downloads involve internet. Over internet, it may not always working, is it? maybe the server down, or maybe user's internet down, is it? So, or some other scenario. So if it's down, then you cannot get data. If you cannot get data here, if we don't use the try except block, then this function will not work correctly because of the later cannot, this variable, they cannot get what they supposed to get. So you will not have correct dictionary to return. And if the function not working later on, you call function, then it will not work. So then the whole program will crash. If the whole program not crash and the user doesn't have any clue, so that's not going to be a good user experience, is it? So that's why you provide this try except block. When you provide this try except block, okay, in this case, if download goes smoothly, then it will move to the next. Okay, you get the data, is it stock data? And don't worry about this. Okay, later on we are going to learn. We are going to use a lot of this this semester, okay, regarding data frame. So that's later chapters material. But anyway, here just take a look. Okay, so we want to get a closing price. We also want to get volume of like Apple's or NVIDIA's or Tesla, is it? And this represents the last one, the latest one. So in today's case, so it will today's market price. Okay, today's, so the 5 day including today's, including last Friday, last Thursday, last Wednesday, and last Tuesday. Okay, so the negative one means you got the last one. Okay, so you get the data and you assign to a variable. So it will directly go here. So it will not execute the except block. So it will skip the except block. But if suppose your home internet down, you don't have internet. You don't have it, then it will not work. Is it? When it will not work, then this part won't work. Is it? If it's, we don't do the except. But here, if that's the case, then except will handle that case. Okay, then the except, okay, it will output, oh, there's some error happens. Don't worry, okay, so it will return nothing. So then your user will get some feedback. No, okay, I cannot get the stock data. You have some, okay, somewhere something is wrong. So, but your program will not just crash for no reason, is it? Because if it crash for no reason, you will think, oh, there may be some virus, is it? So you will get some user feedback. Okay, so that's nice. So anyway, so if everything goes smooth, okay, you get the price, you get the volume. And here what we return a dictionary. Is it return a dictionary? So you build a dictionary with stock ticker, then with price, and with its volume. Okay, so that's what this function does. The function does is once you have stock ticker, then it will give you the latest days symbol, price, and volume. Okay, that's a dictionary. Okay, then here, let's see. Here we have 3 ticker, Google's, Apple's, and Tesla's, is it? And you want to get Google's ticker, price, and volume. You also want to get Apple's and Tesla's, is it? So here you use the loop. This is the for loop, is it? For each loop. Okay, the for loop, so first will be Google. So then over here, you're going to plug in. So basically this ticker, we call it argument. Whenever you call a function, the variable you plug in is called an argument. So what are you going to plug in Google, because the ticker will get Google, is it? And if everything runs smooth, you will get Google's data. And then this, because it's a dictionary, so you can get its key and value, is it? So you can print out its key and value. And then the next iteration, it will go to Apple, plug in Apple. After you plug in Apple, okay, everything runs smoothly, you will get Apple's symbol, price, and volume, etc. And then you are going to output using the for loop, etc. to output all its information. Then the third iteration will go to Teslas. Okay. So that's the idea for function. And also in this example, you see, we also discussed the loop, etc., and the if condition. Yeah, so we combined what we learned so far together. Okay, and then next. Yeah, next let's take a look at try except block. Okay, I just explained. Okay, it's to prevent potential program crash. So it's can also make a program run gracefully. Okay, so that's the idea. So let's take a look. So in our example, it's quite simple. It's just a try except. Didn't list the except type. Okay. You can also check Google Doc, not Google, Python doc, okay, about the exception type, okay. And in other programming, like you can have like input-output exception. You can have a stream exception, is it like internet exception, is it? You can also have arithmetic exception like divide by zero, is it? So you can also list each individual exception using except. So you can have multiple except to catch each individual one. Then you can, in that case, you can give user very specific feedback about why the program goes wrong. Is it? Yeah, if you don't, if you want just give a very general, you can just give that like whatever example should give except, okay? And here you can also list that exception as some objects, okay, as E. And then you can do something like output that. You can also do that. And you can also combine the else, okay? And finally, so else is that it's code that continue to run if no exception occurs. So if no exception, then it will go here. Okay, if there are exception, then it will go to exception. Okay. And you can also provide finally. Finally is always wrong, regardless. So even exception, it will also go to finally. Okay, so that's the case. Okay, and how about let's go back to take another look at this try except block. Yeah. So we just learned is that so you have the try keyword, you have except keyword, and then you have your a block of code under each of it. Okay, this part we learned. So next, okay, this is also a very important information. Okay, indexing, and be careful. Okay, indexing is access elements within sequence. Okay, so list, tuple we learned that, and but not true for dictionary. Okay, you access dictionary using using key. Okay, so be careful. And for indexing, it's extract single element using position. Okay, so starting from zero, so it's zero indexed, and using square brackets and passing a integer number. Okay, but starting with zero. Okay. And in Python, it's very convenient, flexible. It allows negative indexing. If you recall, previous of example also shows, is it? So in other, like in Java and C++, it doesn't allow that. What negative indexing it just means you access from end, you count from back. You back we count. So that's the nice thing for Python. You can count from front, from beginning. You can also count from end. Okay. So -1 refers to last, and -2 refer to second last, and so on. Okay. So that's indexing. And the Python also allows slicing. So slicing is not to extract single element. So it extracts subsequence. Okay. Because it's subsequence, so you need to have, so it's also use square brackets. So but you need to you need to provide the starting index, then colon, ending index, colon, and the step. So you want to every one or every two or every three. Okay, so that's what a step means. Okay. And also be careful, the ending index is not included, so it's exclusive. Okay, so it's a half open, so keep that in mind. And you can also omit start and end index. If you omit, it will by default start is 0, end is the last item. Okay. And if step is omit, the default step is 1. Okay. And we will see some examples. Then you will have a better idea. Okay, so let's take a look at this example. Yeah, the first here we have a list. So this list has 6 items. Okay, if you want to access the first one, you do sub 0. If you want to access the last one, you can do sub -1. Is it? There is another way access the last one. You can also do. In this case, because you know specific 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then you can do /5. That's because you know. Most of the case you don't know. If you don't know, you can use this len function. Okay, this len function and then the list name, the variable name. Then what it will return you, it will return 6. Is it? Okay, oh, I'm sorry. Then you need to -1. -1, so that's 5. Because start at 0. So this is sub 0, sub 1, sub 2, sub 3, sub 4, and sub 5. Okay, so that's why it's the length. So len tell you the number of elements in that list and -1. So multiple, but the most convenient is just -1. Okay, so that's a nice thing for Python. Okay. And what is the next we try to do is, you see here. So this is not a single item, is it? So what here is, we call it slicing. Slicing. Someone has a question? So what is your question, please?
Yeah, my question is kind of unrelated to what we are talking about, but then I wanted to find out, is it possible that I can buy the book together with a friend of mine and share it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if we do that, are we going to get the same code to access the quiz, or
Oh,
we
no, you will only get one code. So everyone will share the code. I believe that's the publisher's case. They will
okay?
not give everyone a code. No.
So that means even if we contribute and buy the book, we have to we it simply
Yeah.
means everyone has to purchase the book individually.
Yeah, you can do like a group do the quiz and then because in the future I'm going to make it a group. Yeah, I did discuss the book price with the publisher. Yeah, and because the cost, they said that it's very hard for them to lower price. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
and that
good.
is hard as well for us to
Yeah.
afford.
So how about you guys can do because you have group, is it? So you have the group and you share and you can just work together in a group to get that done.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is slicing, and so we have starting. So starting 1 is here, ending is at 4. But be careful, okay, 4 is not included. It's exclusive. Exclusive. So you will have hello 9.9 and 3, but not this one. Okay. And that's slicing because we didn't do sub 1 or sub 2, is it? So the step by default is 1. So every 1. Okay. If you do colon 2, then it will every 2. Okay. So just so that's called slicing. See, slicing return you multiple items. Okay. Yeah, because of the feature of slicing, you see, and we can use slicing to do some other thing, like over here it shows. If you take a look, that's very, very nice. It's a very nice way to do that, is it? So here you have that length. So this will be this means the last one, is it? And then you have colon. So you have something and then colon. And here you didn't specify, is it? If you recall, previously we say if you don't specify, that's by default. It's the end. But here you see it's interesting is then it says equal, provide another list. Is it? So basically here what it does, it's equivalent you add this XYZ to the end of the list. So basically you use slice assignment to append a list at back. You can also add from, and you can also even do remove. So that's another way, use of slice. It's not just you retrieve item, you can also change the list, update the list. Okay. Yeah, otherwise you need to call either append or extend, is it? Yeah, or you do the plus operation. So there are some other way to do adding items to the list. So this is add at the back. You can also add at the front if you see, take a look. Then you don't specify where start, but the ending is the starting index. Is it? Then you provide the, then this ABC is going to append at the beginning. So you will have ABC and then 10. Okay. And then here you see, if you take a look at this slice, okay, from 9 to the last, and then it says, okay, empty one. So then in this case, it's you remove part of the list, okay. So you can also, for list, you can also call like delete function, that and some other functions you can call, okay? But here it provides using slicing, you can also do this. So that's some nice way. And here it also shows you can also use a negative step to do reversing, okay? So you don't specify, you see, if you want to reverse the whole list, then you can do this, just provide the negative one, okay, as a step. Then it's going to be reversed. So the result is going to be reversed, okay? So that's the example about index and indexing and slicing. That's very useful, and we are going to use a lot in this class, okay? Later on, okay, for data frame. So that's a major part. Just keep that in mind, especially for slicing, okay? For data analytics, generally speaking, it's a huge data set, and then you try to extract a part of it and then do some analysis. So what next is a built-in Python function called the zip function. So what a zip function does is create an iterator. That iterator will aggregate elements from multiple sequences. So if you have multiple sequence, you kind of try to pair them together, then you can use this zip function, okay? Otherwise, in other programming language, there is no such thing. You need to write quite a number line of code to achieve the same goal. Okay? But in Python, you will see it's so convenient. So here we have a tick list and we have a price list. Okay, we have two lists. Then you see you call zip. So what basically it does, it's pair. So it's going to pair Google and 172. And then I have another one, Tesla, TSLA, and 175. So it will pair them together. Okay. And it's something. Okay. But it's not a tuple. Okay. So it's a iterator. So basically it returns an iterator. Okay. And because if it's iterator, if you just want to print, it won't print everything. It just print. You can try, okay, in code. It will just print some kind of like maybe the address of the iterator, starting address, okay? Because for iterator, if you want to access next one, you need to call next. And next each time you need to call. That's not convenient, is it? So that's why here you do, but you can plug in. So here we plug in an iterator as argument to the list constructor. So this is list constructor. So basically it's going to create a new list, okay, so you will have a list of this, okay. So that's the idea here. So you see the zip is so nice, but I recommend you can, if you already have number of years of programming experience, you don't need to do this. Otherwise, if you are pretty new for programming, I recommend you can try, don't use zip, and just with this two list, use what we learned like for loop to do hard way to build this new list and pair them together. How you're going to do it? Okay, try to figure. That's practice your programming skills. Okay. Okay, the next part is also quite useful information. The single asterisk and double asterisk as a function parameter and argument. Okay, so first let's take a look. So this function is pretty simple, is it? It has two parameters, not like what we saw before. Okay, so in this we have two parameters of this function. It's pretty simple, just output, is it? Okay, then over here we have a for loop. That stock, if you remember, it's a list. That's a list. And then we have the Google, and it's 172 something. We have another Tesla, etc. So you have two, is it? And then you see you call that unpack. So this stock will get, first we'll get the Google 172. And then but basically you have two items, is it Google and 172. But you only pass in with a single variable, is it? And what this function takes, it takes two parameters. But you only pass in with one, that will not work, is it? When you call a function, your parameter should match, or your argument should match the parameter exactly when you call a function. If you just have a single, so that's not going to match. But this stock is not a single item, is it? It has two items, is it? But you need to unpack it, is it? Because it's being enclosed as a tuple, is it? So you need to unpack it so that the first one, Google is going to go here, and then 172 is going to go to the price. So that's why here you need to add this asterisk so that you can unpack it. Okay. So this case is the single asterisk for argument when you call the function. So next, let's see. The next example. Okay, and for here we have this function sum all. And this function, the parameter, you see, just has single parameter. But before this single parameter, you have an asterisk. So what does this mean? That means it has variable number of arguments. So whenever you pass in argument, you can pass in 1, you can pass in 2, you can pass in 3, you can pass. So very flexible. Okay. So variable number of arguments allows. So that's going to, so here we pass in 5. You can also, after you go, you can call like sum all, pass in 1, 2 only. You can pass in 1, 2, 3. You can pass in like just 1. Yeah, it will all work. Is it? Okay, and then this function is simple. Okay, so here you initiate the total, and then here you have the for loop. And within the for loop, you do summation. So this is a pretty typical summation loop, okay? And the numbers, because the number is what? The number will take, it's not variable number of arguments, okay? And basically, in other programming language, if you recall, like the main function, it use that, is it? The main function, if you recall, C++ and Python, their parameter, is it? It's something like that. It's a variable number of arguments, okay? Okay, and the next, let's see. The double asterisk. Okay, same thing. Double asterisk can be used as a parameter. It can also be used for arguments. Okay, so let's see. If it used in parameter, what it means, it accepts keyword arguments. Okay, the keyword argument is, okay, you can provide some default value, okay? And if you don't provide that argument with anywhere, it will go with default. If you do provide, it will override the default one, okay? So that's kind of the, but in Python, in this example, you will see basically this serves like a dictionary, okay? So you can do the items and then get its key and value pair, okay? And then over here, okay, so that ticker and the price, I remember it's to list, is it? And then you pair them together. So ticker is a list, price is a list, and you pair them together. Well, after you pair, it's an iterator, is it? So then you want to change them to dictionary, is it? So in this case, you create a dictionary. Okay, so you can see it's very flexible here. And then we call the unpack. Okay, and plug in this dictionary. Okay, and so that's why over here you need to unpack this key value pair of the dictionary. Okay, so that is that each pair becomes a separate keyword argument to this function. Okay, so that's what we needed to do, because over here you have it's a dictionary, you have multiple key value pair. Okay, the next part, this is very, very concise style of coding. Okay. And I strongly recommend you take advantage of this, okay? So Python comprehensions and generator expression, okay? So what is comprehension? It's build a sequence from an existing sequence. Yeah, so maybe you want to take some items out of a sequence, is it? And generally speaking, in other programming language, we don't have this, and I cannot see all of the other, okay? Like in Python or not Python, in Java and C++, you don't have this kind of comprehension, okay? Yeah. And so we can have list comprehension, we can have set comprehension, we can have dictionary comprehension. So this is another way to create those sequence data structure, okay? And for tuple, there is no direct like a tuple comprehension, but you can combine, you can use tuple with some other generator expression to do some kind of tuple comprehension, but it's not a tuple comprehension. Okay? There is no such thing. Another concept is called generator. Generator is also very useful. Okay, so it's some special type of iterator. Previously, we already see that iterator is the zip function. Okay. And the iterator, generator is some iterate supports iteration over a sequence of items. Okay, but the difference between, you may ask, why do we already have list, set, or dictionary, you know, that's enough. Is it why you need some other type? The idea is those data structures, they are going to store all items in memory. And think about sometimes, especially with the data analytics, the data set is huge. And if you want just in one time, you load all of the data in memory, that may not be practical, okay? So your memory may not have the capacity to do that, okay? Especially like, that's why like a machine learning need a huge like a GPU something that, yeah. So that may not, in some scenario, you may not even need that, is it? You just do one by one processing. So each time you only need to load one item to memory, is it? If that's the case, then you can take advantage of a generator, iterator. So each time just load one item to memory, okay? So it said it doesn't store the entire sequence in memory, but generate one at a time on demand. Okay, so especially if you design some small device, then memory is very limited. That if you use Python language to create some app, then in that case you may take advantage of generator or iterator. Okay, so regarding that, that's why we say it's memory efficient. Okay, and it can even allow you to do infinite, because for list, set, those you can. For memory got limited capacity, you cannot unlimited, is it? But if you have some infinity sequence you want to process, then you can use the generator or iterator concept. Okay, then let's take a look the syntax to do that. So here we list. So for list comprehension, same thing, always square brackets. So what here is 3 parts. First expression, then you have a for loop, and then you have condition. Condition is not always needed, okay? And the expression can be only a single variable. So all sorts of, if it's expression, that's fine, okay? And for set, similar, okay, but it's use curly brackets. So just remember it's 3 parts. And the dictionary, same thing. So here, but you need to have key value pair. and then the for, and here the condition, okay? And the generator, it's parentheses, okay? Expression, for, and if condition, okay? The condition is not always needed sometimes. Depends on your needs, okay? So that's the general syntax. Okay, let's take a look at the example. Okay, then you will see how efficient, how concise the code is. So first, let's take this look at this list. The list has 3 string and then integer, then another 3 string and a floating number, Boolean value list. This is a dictionary, and then 3 more strings. Is it? And you want to build a list from this. What do you want to do? You said, okay, I want to pick out all of the string from this list and store it in another list. Yeah, that's happened a lot. Is it? Yeah. So in this, you want to just get a part of the list out. So then in this case, you can take advantage of list comprehension. What you're going to do is, you need to loop through the list. And what kind of condition you want to, okay, if the item in the list, so variable in list, so this variable is a loop variable. It will take A, B, C, 10, hello, 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 9.9. It will take one by one, is it individually? Okay, so here, this is instance, this is a function, Python function. So it will check if some variable, some item is some object. So str represents a string. So you want to check, okay, if the item in the list is a string. So this means if the condition is true, if it is a list, then it will put it to the new list. So that's the expression. Okay, that's the expression. So you see how concise the code is. Because otherwise, if you do some other way, you need to first declare this variable on this list. Is it empty one? Then you do a for loop. Okay, for a variable in colon, is it? And then check, okay, if this variable is instance, and then you do this compute list dot append. You see, you need at least 4 or 5 lines of code, is it? But if you use list comprehension, just a single line of code. So very concise, okay, condensed coding. Well, the next is set. Yeah, same thing. It just use you need to use curly brackets, okay. And next, let's see the dictionary comprehension, okay. So for dictionary here, you have a list for ticker, list for price, okay. So then you have the curly brackets. So for this one, then if you take a look, there is no condition part. It's just a for loop. Okay, so what it does is called zip. So because these are 2 lists, is that you want to pair and aggregate, pair and aggregate. So then you use zip. Is it the zip? Then you create a iterator. So for iterator, then you can do loop because it's dictionary. So that's why you have key and value. Okay. And you have key value, and then you can assign them to the list or to the dictionary key value. You see how neat it is? Otherwise, you see there are a lot of line of code. Okay. And then what the next is show generator. So generator is just a parenthesis. So here's pretty similar as a list. Okay, so you have this for, you have the condition, you have the expression, etc. And this program it just try to directly print out this generator. Okay, so when we run our code, you will see it's not going to give you the sequence. Okay, and if you do want to output to see every single item, then you need to use this loop through that iterator. Okay, one by one. Okay. And over here to show how do we do tuple, okay? Take advantage of the comprehension. So it use generator comprehension, then you just call tuples. We just call tuples constructor, okay? And then you can build this tuple, create the tuple. So this is regarding the comprehension, very, very efficient style of coding. I strongly recommend you take advantage to use it. Okay. And you can try both. If you are new to programming, I strongly recommend you try both so that you get familiar with both. Okay, the last one is regarding lambda expression. Lambda is basically it's a function. At previously, you remember we write a function, you needed to have define, then function name, and then parameter, then colon, and function body. That's how we define. But lambda, it doesn't have this part. Okay, so lambda expression just some simple anonymous. So there is no function name. So that's why we say it's not, but it must be not, generally speaking, it's only applied to simple one. So if your function body has a lot of code, don't do this, okay? If just a couple of lines, then you can use lambda. And this is also inline. So if it's more efficient when it run. Because it doesn't need to go to the stack, okay, to retrieve the function and then replace the code, because it's just directly replaced with the code. Okay, so that's why lambda expression is more efficient. It's simple also. Okay, so its syntax is you in Python you do need this lambda keyword, and after that you provide the parameter list and then colon. Then basically here is your function body, okay, whatever expression. So then let's take a look at this example. So this is a lambda expression. So basically it does convert, okay, convert from feet to meter. So this keyword, this is parameter, and this is expression, okay. And the same thing, here you have another lambda expression. So this is keyword, this is parameter, and this is expression. You can do all sorts of expression, okay? And you all can also, lambda also allows multiple parameter. So you just use a comma to separate them, okay? And then, yeah, you see there is no function body. Oh, no, not the function, no function header, okay? So it's just in line here. And also this example is quite concise. So here it create a dictionary, is it? And for this dictionary, so this is key. So the value part of this dictionary, it uses lambda to create the value part. Yeah, you see how nice it is? Is it? Otherwise, if you don't use lambda, okay, you need to define the function. And then over here, you need to kind of then plug in that function. Yeah, so that's not as concise as this style of coding, is it? Okay, and then how do we call it for lambda? So over here we do so this part is the dictionary. To access to retrieve item from dictionary, you provide a key. So this is a key, is it? So you use the first one, first key pair, okay? And then this is argument. Argument, is it? Yeah. So then you just provide the argument. So basically 3.9 is the feet. Okay. So then it will conduct 0.305 times 3.9, and it will convert it to meter. That's what this part does. Okay. So after you go home, you can try some other like lambda expression. Okay. Okay, so that's of the concept, okay, regarding our Python programming language review. We didn't, there are a lot of other programming language stuff that's for Python, but we don't have enough time to cover all of those, okay, and because this is data analytics, it's not like develop some app. So regarding Python programming language itself, the requirement is not high. Okay, mostly basically later on you will see we just need to kind of get familiar with all sorts of packages. Okay, used for Python for data analytics. Okay, so let me stop sharing for a little bit. 7. Oh, I'm so sorry. I already run over time. Okay, so let's just, I'm going to stop.